Hey everybody, Jeremy here, and this is the Airthereal Revive Kitchen Composter. So I've recently become a big fan of electronic kitchen composters. I think that they are incredibly useful because they let you take your food scraps or food that you might have lying around that's going bad, and instead of putting it in your garbage can, you put it in a machine like this. And when you turn it on, it's going to heat it, it's going to grind it and pulverize it and turn it into something that's essentially dirt, that you could just put that in your garbage can instead. It helps cut down on the smell, and it keeps those little critters and insects away that might be getting attracted to your garbage. So I am going to be testing this out. I'm going to show you everything that this little machine can do. And I do want to thank Airthereal for sending this to me, and they also sent me their water purifier, their countertop water purifier that I also reviewed that I think was really good as well. I actually have the water picture in my fridge right now. I'll leave a link to where you can find that. So for the kitchen composter, it comes in a couple different colors and a couple different models. This is the visual version in gunmetal gray. And the visual version gives you this nice window on top so you can see your food being composted. And then there's also a non-visual version that comes in the same two colors. There's a gunmetal gray, and then there's also a pearl white version. And that one is going to cost about $100 less, coming in at around $250 the last time that I checked. So I'll leave links in the description where you can check those out. So this version here costs about $350 at the recording time of this video. And in addition to getting this, you're also going to get a few other things as well, such as 50 1.6 gallon bags of compostable trash bags. It's really cool that they included this in there. So you can just put your compost inside of one of these bags. So your compost in a compostable bag, that is great. You're also going to get a replacement filter. There's already a filter that comes inside, but you get an extra one inside of the box, and it's always great to have these filters here. They're also going to give you this scoop. And hey, yeah, you can scoop out your compost from here if you want, or you can just use this for any other thing. So yeah, you get yourself a scoop. That's great. Use it in the garden. And then last but not least, you get this big old bag to put everything in. So maybe you want to travel with this, or you want to, take it somewhere else. If you're moving, you got a bag to put everything in. So that's great. It's really awesome that they included this extra filters. You can still buy extra filters from their website. There's a 2-pack for like 25 bucks, but I wasn't expecting them to give anything else besides the kitchen composter. So these little 3 accessories, good job. I like to see that. So this machine is really dead simple to operate. There's not a lot of bells and whistles, to be honest with you. Once you take it out the box, the only thing that you really need to do is make sure that the filter is installed properly. On the side here, they have this little door that you can just take off, just like this. And then there's this little pull string, and you can pull this out, and here is the filter. So you just got to make sure you take that tape off. There's an arrow that points to the direction where it's supposed to go inside the machine. So you just put that in. It just fits nicely into place, and then you pop the door right back on. And then at this point, all you gotta do is plug it in and start adding your food to it. So I'm gonna show you what the top looks like, but like I said, there's not a lot of different features on this machine. It's pretty much plug and play, which I know for a lot of people is really all that they want. So let me show you that. All right, so here's how this machine works. First, how to take the lid off. So you see on the top here, we got this lock icon, and then we have an unlock icon. So you have to grab the back of the lid. There's an opening there, and then you just simply slide it to the unlock position, and then you can take the lid off. And then on the inside is the chamber where you have this metal bucket with this handle here. You can lift this up, and you can clean this when you're done. This part of the machine is dishwasher safe, so you can put the bucket in the dishwasher if you want to, but of course the rest of the machine is not dishwasher safe. And the way that this works is you just have this mechanism that constantly turns round, and it's going to grind up the food while it's being heated and turning it into dirt. And then when you want to put it back on, you just line up the arrow to to the unlock icon and then just twist it back into the lock position. It's really just that simple. Here is a touch sensitive power button that you just tap when you want to start things. And then over here is the filter reset button that you tap and hold in order to reset the filter when you need to reset the filter. And really, after you push this button, it's going to start the drying process, and then it's going to move on to the grinding process. And then once everything is done, it moves on to cooling. And that's pretty much it. The typical cycle for something like this is going to be between about 3 hours to 7 hours, depending on how much stuff you have in there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So got to put this to the test. I'm going to start loading some things into this machine, and we're going to be able to take a look at how it works on the inside, and then I'll come back and I'll let you know exactly how everything worked out. So I have this bucket filled up almost all the way to the max fill line. Inside here, as you can see, we have these green beans that are starting to turn and go bad. And underneath that, I have some orange peels and some banana peels, some random bits and pieces that are in there now. So with this inside of the composter, I'm just going to lock it into place just like that. Hit this power button. And now it is starting the drying process. And we are able to view everything through the window. So it's just going to heat and dry. And it's about 6 o'clock now, and I'll come back and take a look at the progress. So here's the end result, and as you can see, this is just really dry. You can clearly see those orange pieces in here. This doesn't have that dirt consistency that I've seen with some other things that I've composted in the past. I guess it just sort of depends on what you are composting, but it did a really good job at reducing all of that waste that was pretty much up to the max fill line all the way down to almost nothing. And it smells like burned dirt. So this is good to go inside of those compostable trash bags, and I think that it did a pretty good job. And this is the result of all of that pineapple waste and the banana peels and orange peels that I had in here. It's still quite hot on the inside, but as you can see, that is the result. It's kind of like tree bark, like shredded tree bark. There's a very healthy reduction of all the waste in there, and it's dry. So these pineapples had a ton of moisture, and it was starting to, fog up the lid here, but in the end, after a handful of hours, everything is nice and dry. So I did have some spare pineapple waste, banana peels, and orange slices that I couldn't fit inside of the Airthereal Revive, and instead I decided to put them inside of the much more expensive Thinkware Blue Vent MUMU so that we can compare the results. Now the Blue Vent MUMU does have a larger capacity, and it wasn't as many scraps as it was inside of the Airthereal Revive, but let's just kind of take a look at the waste that this was able to produce and then the differences between them. So you see here, these pieces are thicker. They are thicker pieces than what I got out of the Airthereal Revive. So just kind of take a look at that. So this is a pretty significant difference. I wouldn't say that one is necessarily worse than the other, but it does just kind of show you that depending on what you put inside of these food composters, it may not always turn out to be nice, powdery dirt. Sometimes you get a tree bark consistency. Sometimes you get the consistency of sticks. It just kind of depends on what you put in there. But just kind of having these compared side by side, I am happy with how they both turned out. I'm not upset with either of these, but I do think that it was really fascinating to see what this much cheaper machine can do compared to this more expensive machine. And even though the Blue Vent MUMU has more fancy features, we can see that the performance between the two were pretty close overall. So now let me wrap this up and give you the pros and cons based on my experience with the Airthereal Revive kitchen composter. Now, one of the first pros that I want to say is I love the fact that they include the additional accessories in the box, where they could have just given you this and just been done with it. But I love the fact that they included an additional filter to save you a little bit of money down the road. I love the fact that they included all of those compostable trash bags, because it just makes sense. You are making compost. When you want to get rid of it, why not put it in a compostable trash bag? It's like common sense, really. And also the bag that they give you in the little garden scoop thing as well. Those are some nice accessories to have for this machine. I like the fact that it gives you some variety as well. If you want the one that has this window so you can take a peek at what's going on, but if you don't want that, you can save yourself some money and just get one that doesn't have this window and it comes with a couple of different colors, and get the one that best matches your decor if you want to go that route. So I do like that about the machine. I also do like the fact that it's easy to control, because I know ease of use is very important for some people who may not care or may not want to have all of the fancy features that requires you to go through menu options in order to get the setting that you want. The fact that all you have to do is put the lid on and tap the power button is an advantage that I think a good number of people will appreciate in a machine like this. And as far as the noise goes, it's not a loud machine. You will be able to hear it running, but it's not loud by any means, and it's not going to disturb you at all. So I like that fact about it too. And the performance is also good as well. Based on everything that I've tried in here, I think that it did a good job. I was a little bit worried at first when it comes to the pineapple, since there's so much moisture in it, and it was pineapple juice just kind of filling up the very bottom of the pot. And I thought that, man, I don't think that is going to be able to dry it out completely by the time the cycle is done. But as you can see, it totally did. And there's no moisture in here at all, and it did a great job. So performance wise, for the price that they're asking for it, I also think is really good. Now let's talk about some things that I am not too fond of. The first thing that I'm not too fond of is, well, the lid. I wish that it was a flip top lid. I'm not a big fan of having to reach around to the back of the machine in order to twist this and then pull it off, and then reach back around to the back of the machine to put this on. You can see I'm kind of fiddling with it right here, and then just twist it shut. It's not difficult, but it is a little fiddly, and I just would have liked it if there was just a simple button that I can press to make the lid come up, you know, like a garbage can lid where you step on, when you step on it and the lid comes up. I wish that it was something more akin to that, so I don't have to reach around to the back of the machine, and I don't have to figure out where I'm going to put this lid when I'm putting different scraps inside. This bucket is also a little bit harder to clean than the one on the more expensive Blue Vent MUMU, especially around the sides. You know, once this residue sort of dries and kind of gets really stuck on there, it takes a little more elbow grease to clean this off. And compared to the more expensive one that I used before, cleaning the bucket was always easy to do. Even if I left everything in there overnight or for a day, I was still able to clean it pretty easily. But this is going to take a little bit of effort in order to get this to be nice and clean if you want it to be spotless, like how it is when you take it out of the box. Another thing to note here that's not necessarily a con, but I think that it's very good to know, is that if you are trying to dry out some foods that have a lot of moisture in it, like pineapples, for example, it is going to fog up the window here, and it's also going to push out a lot of condensation from this vent here. So if you have something next to it, be prepared to wipe off the condensation that's going to be on that thing that's sitting next to here. And then also, this little door here, as the machine was going on and on, it started to sort of bulge a little bit. It wasn't in danger of like popping off or anything, but I guess just all of that extra moisture and condensation and heat that was kind of coming out through here was just sort of making this plastic flex a little bit. I don't think that it's a huge problem, but it's something that I noticed, and I definitely do want to mention it because it happened. But overall, I do think that this is a very good kitchen composter. And I know that at the lower end, even $250 may seem like it's a lot of money for something like this, but compared to other companies and what they're selling theirs for, this is actually a pretty competitive price, especially when you consider all the extra things that you get with it and the performance that you just saw here. I really think that everyone needs something like this in their kitchen in order to just put all your food scraps in. I've said it before, I'm a big fan of these kitchen composters, and I don't think you can go wrong with something like this. So if you're interested in picking up either this model or one of the other models, be sure to check out the link in the description. It's going to take you to where you can purchase your own. So that's it, you guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.